And this week, Cuba received about 1,000 activists from all over the world as the island hosted the International Meeting of Solidarity with Cuba. The attendees were also invited to take part in the national celebrations of Workers' Day. Among them, there is a delegation of Coalicion Martiana, a Miami-based organization that for over 25 years have advocated for the normalization of the relations between Cuba and the United States. To go on the matter, we receive its president, Elene Freyre. Welcome to From the South, Elena.
It is such a pleasure to be with you this afternoon, and I am very happy to be able to share the experiences that we've had during the Solidarity with Cuba these past days.
Indeed, Elena, for us it's also an honor. Elena, the Solidarity meeting gathered young people, new and long-time activists that advocate for the same cause, the lifting of the embargo and the self-determination of Cubans. We know the meeting is a friendly reunion of people with common ideals. Can you please give us your insights of the meeting?
I was very pleased to see that there were so many people that had shown up in solidarity with Cuba. The place where we were meeting held over 1,000 people, and there were hardly any seats left. Cuba is not alone. Cuba is not alone. The United States is alone. Every other nation in the world, with the exception of Israel, has voted against the sanctions of the United Nations for so many years. This is outrageous that we're still at this stage after 62 years. Cuba wants good relations with the United States, and we are a part of advocating for that. But for that, there has to be mutual respect. The United States has to respect the sovereignty of Cuba and talk to Cuba with respect.
Also, Elena, Cuba faces one of the hardest economic situations of its history in the aftermath of COVID-19 and also in the middle of a worsening of the U.S. blockade on the island, which translates into financial persecution and also a tangible shortage of basic goods and services. Many will say this is not a good time to visit the country. However, here you are. Why? What compels you to come here?
Well, first of all, I come no matter what is happening because I was born here. This is my country. I love my country. I want my country to be free of all the sanctions that it's facing. Cuba is a place of humanity, of solidarity, of love. Cuba does not export war. Cuba does not export weapons. Cuba exports doctors and medicines to help countries and places where that is not that easy to obtain unless it is for Cuban doctors being there. This is my country. I come to my country no matter what is happening. And I will tell you something else. I say that is not true. This is the best time to come to Cuba. Cuba is welcoming people from all over the world. And I hope many more Americans take the opportunity to come and meet this country and meet these people.
Oh, those are great words. Now we have another question. Coalicion Martiana and its comrades in fight, Puentes de Amor, the People's Forum, Code Pink, and other organizations have intensified their actions from the United States, demanding the lifting of the U.S. embargo on Cuba, reinforced by the Trump administration. Despite his campaign promises, these policies remain untouched under President Biden. Cuban people keep struggling and demanding their rights for a prosperous future. But on the other side of the table, how do U.S. citizens react to this situation?
Are you asking about what actions we're taking to get the blockade ending?
I mean, not only which actions, also how they feel for Cuba, how they see these policies on Cuba, and how they show and display solidarity for us.
Well, first of all, I know that you know that there are monthly caravans, the last Sunday of every month, that take place all over the United States, places in Europe, Canada, Latin America. It's a movement that has grown exponentially. Nobody expected it to hit such a huge movement, and it's because there is this need People want to do something to let the United States government know that we need to end this. It's been 62 years. We had great hopes when Biden was elected. And I was one of the people who was urging Cuban Americans that voted to vote for Biden because Biden promised to do away with the sanctions. And he has not fulfilled his promises. And so we need to remind him. We remind him every last Sunday of every month that we're expecting him to follow through with his promise. This is ridiculous. It's like a return to the Monroe Doctrine. You know, the United States does not own Cuba. Cuba is a sovereign nation trying to live in peace and trying to do the very best for its citizens.
Also, Elena, we know that the U.S. participants in the International Day of Solidarity with Cuba were detained after the landing in Miami. That's regrettable. How do you see this action of Washington, and don't you fear the same thing could happen to you?
First of all, I'm not afraid. You know, I haven't been afraid for a very long time. I follow my conscience, and I follow the love that I have for the country in which I was born. So, you know, bring it on. If something happens, I'll just get the proper representation, and I'm sure I'll be okay because it's a violation of the rights. It was a terrible violation of the rights of these young people. It was an outrageous action to take. And I hope that they and their parents, if they're not of age, will go ahead and take legal action and test this measure once and for all. It's an intimidation. It's really to try to tell people, don't go to Cuba, don't be in solidarity with Cuba, because we're going to make you pay for it when you come back. It's against the Constitution of the United States. They have a perfect right to come.
Yeah, those are really, really brave words from you, Elena. Thank you very much for your visit and your time here with us in teleSUR English and in From the South.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here.
Okay, so we dialogue with Elene Freyre, the president of Coalicion Martiana, who visits Havana and will participate in Cuba's May the 1st celebration.